Good evening, beautiful women, gorgeous ladies who have decided to seize 2022. Or should I say 2022? So you're welcome to another evening. Today is day 3 of our 31 days to declutter and deconstruct the mind to gain clarity. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is The Woman Called You, where we inspire change through personal growth. So for the past 2 days, today is day 3, we've been talking about how and ways and means to declutter the mind. So today is steps to declutter the mind, part 2. And I would quickly want to remind us of what we consider cluttering to be. We're not talking about clutter in terms of um your space, your physical space. We're talking about clutter, in terms of what you have, what those things that stop you from just, being the best version of you. And those things, not just physical things, but things that are stored up in your mental space. So if you remember, there was a picture I put up yesterday when we're doing part 1, when I put the head, it was a kind of library, and there were bookshelves on the library and quite a number of clutter and books and all of that. And we talked about ways of disassembling such a structure in our mind, in our mental space. Of course, we said quite a lot yesterday. You can always do a rerun. Like, I try as much as possible to keep this short, just 30-minute stops, because we're going 31 days, is not 31 minutes, it's 31 days. And thankfully today is day 3. I've had such a crazy day, activity packed, but nonetheless I said no, a commitment is a commitment. So even if I have just one person tuning in today, I ultimately, people can get to watch this later. It's on YouTube, it's on the Woman Called You page. I just happen to be broadcasting it on my personal profile, because a friend who is not able to access the Woman Called You page asked that I do it, and I'm gladly obliging. So today we are going into part 2. Like I said, you can watch part 1 on the page or even on my profile page here on Facebook. So today we're going into other things we need to do, steps that will help us declutter our mind. And I'm going to go first into the one I love discussing. I know some people might come for me saying, it's a woman's, how do I put it? It's a woman's USP, her unique selling point, the ability to know multitask and all of that. And I bring us some kind of news today. What most of us have been doing has not necessarily been multitasking. We're just simply, task switching. And it's very counter, productive. You have so many things you're doing at once. You think you can do this, do this, do this. You are able and capable. But I tell you, there is an opportunity cost. There is an opportunity cost when you say you want to multitask, because most times you're not able to, successfully complete anything you start out to do. That's why you see many tasks hanging, and before you know it, you're stressed. We talk about clutter. The clutter we're talking about is the clutter of your mental space. In your mental space, so many things. Your to-do list is just haphazard and all of that. So I want to just ask a woman today, decide to begin to do what they call single tasking. Pick a task, see it through. This woman talking to you here thought she was an expert at multitasking. I thought I was an expert at multitasking. You know, I'm saying, okay, I want to write this. I need to do this. I need to actually, I'm a crafts person. So people like myself, we are caught in this kind of, if I dare call it a conundrum. I say, okay, I want to start up this project. And before you know it, something just hits these inspiration spots, so to speak, and I'm rushing to it. And that's why I say most people who are like artsy or crafty, there are a lot of unfinished projects everywhere. And because we think we have the ability to multitask. So I'm just asking a woman today, one of the steps to declutter your mind, just begin to practice single tasking. This is what I want to do. By the time I finish it, I'll tick it off. And I tell you, it has worked for me. I'm still a work in progress, no doubt, but it has worked for me. I always have a list. Anybody that knows me, if you check my phone at any time T, because I use a Samsung, I'll try to put it on the screen. Just forgive me. My screen is broken, so just in case you don't see it, because this our discussion is a very, very practical one. Everything we're doing here on this um for this series. So this is my you're going to laugh if you can get to see it. So um this is my Samsung notes, right? This is my notes. Let me just pull up a note. For instance, this is how, if you can see this is from what that is, was sometime in December. Yes. And I have it listed out. You're going to laugh because I had a space for my Amala that day. So that's my sister's name in front. I knew I had to see her. So I prioritized and I said, I will see her first. Then I'll go to Amala. I'll go to see the lawyer. I'll go to Dosumu. I'll go to Ebano and then Spa. And you see, when you begin to do things like this, you're actually single tasking. Because before I'll just put everything up here and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I'll be going to Ebano before I know it. I'm going this way, I'm going that way. At the end of the day, you're stressed. So I just show you people my notes. You see, I'm an Amala lover. So that particular day, Amala featured in my itinerary. So I'm telling a woman today, please forget it. Put your tasks. This one was the places I had to go. So there are still tasks, right? But your task, if you're doing a project, single task, finish it, then move on to the next. So don't do what they say multitasking. It's not really multitasking. What most of us, are doing, and we think we are multitasking, like I said, we are actually task switching. You jump from this task, you go to the next. You go jump from this task, you go to the next. So we're going to the next step that we can use to declutter our mind. I spoke a bit about this yesterday, but I want to go into more detail. Talk it out. Most times, one of the things that clutter your mind, our minds as women, even in relationships, even with our bosses, our husbands, our children, we just keep it in. Let me not offend them. If I talk too much, they might be offended. I'm not talking about going, off the deep end by being rude or, obnoxious, but talk it out. I have a friend who will say, have that discussion. I tell you, if anybody has a witness understands what I'm saying. When you have that discussion with whoever it is that has become a soft spot in your life, you'll feel better. And you'll notice that most of the time it was a case of building a mountain out of a molehill. It was not that serious. Like I had a kind of small, let me call it an emotional altercation with my eldest son today, you know, and I think I kind of blew it out of proportion. But he kept on, insisting that it shouldn't be the way it was. But we had to talk. We talked because normally I would walk out of that situation and be resentful, you know. So instead of keeping that thing in my head and letting it go round and round, like a hamster's wheel, because worrying about it, being resentful was not going to sort it out. We had a talk, and at the end of the day, he said, "See, Mom, it wasn't as serious as you thought. So please declutter your mind by talking it out. If you can't even deal with the person directly who you have the angst against, get somebody who will be like a mediator. You need to talk it out, especially we women. We know how to let resentment fester. People call it malice. I'm not even talking about malice in this case because you may still be talking to the person. Malice is when you're not even talking, you are, you hold a grudge and all that. You're still talking to the person, but that space, sometimes you see the person coming and you actually sometimes feel a physical pain. And that's because you have not chosen to talk it out. So I'm encouraging a woman today. The second step, remember this part two, we had loads of steps yesterday that were essentially emotional steps, we needed to deal with, and emotional steps we needed to take. So the next point is so many of us are good at doing this. Stop overcommitting. Stop overcommitting. If you know you want to declutter your mind, stop overcommitting. And what is overcommitting? It's not just about learning to say no. No, we don't want people to feel somehow. So you're committed here, you're committed there, you're committed there. At the end of the day, you're totally worn out. Somebody's trying to send me a question. Let me just see. So sorry, just a second. I'll see if I can just quickly throw it in. So many of us, we like to overcommit. And sometimes it gets to us and we're like, find ourselves in situations where it's as if we are being praised. She's a superwoman. If you see the number of things she did today, she was at church by 8. She was here by 2. She went for a compassionate visit. She was here. She was there. She was there. And at the end of the day, you see that person. I'm worn out. Oh, this. If you actually enjoy whatever it is you are doing, one of the sure evidences is this sense of satisfaction and pleasure for having done that thing. But you see, if you overcommit yourself, you'll be overextended. You will end up not being happy. And one of the sure flashpoints for a mind that is cluttered is you're not being happy with whatever you have done. Meanwhile, it has given other people some form or level of happiness and pleasure. And so many women, we do it. We overcommit ourselves, even in our homes, even in our family relationships. We overcommit ourselves. This is not trying to, normalize or trying to validate being a woman who is spiteful or a shrew. Far from that. But the thing is, if you overcommit, you will not have the prerequisite time you need for self-care. And one of the things that get our minds cluttered is when we do not take care of ourselves. You want to do for everybody. You want to do for everybody. There's one thing I always tell people, I think it was Whitney Houston that sang that song. Learning to love yourself is the greatest, love of all. It's the greatest. When you love yourself, you will not overcommit. It's not validating being selfish or being self-centered. Far from it. So if you know you want your mind to be decluttered, one of the things you need to do is to stop overcommitting. Then the next thing we need to do is get rid of mental habits that keep you stuck. So many women were good at it. You don't know what I've been through. You don't understand it. You don't understand it. Yes, I don't understand it, but you're still stuck at that level. Somebody comes 5 years later and you're still throwing a pity party. You're still living in self-doubt, you know. And this thing we call rumination, every time, when it's, I remember somebody who used to say that some women, they love to keep diaries, a mental diary, not as if it's something you physically write, a mental diary of thoughts. And when you continue to keep a mental diary of thoughts, you are not doing anything that will serve you productively in the long term. So you're going to have to stop and decide that from today, I am going to get rid of every mental habit that keeps me stuck. Don't worry, for tomorrow, remember yesterday I said something about brain dumping. When I said in the preamble for part 1, I said you need to understand the principle of brain dump and decide to do it. So what I've decided to do, because somebody sent this thing on the woman called you page, and she asked, why don't you expatiate on what brain dumping is? So tomorrow, hopefully, I'm going to have a session. Tomorrow's session, day 4, will just be on what brain dumping is, how to do it. So you see, by the time you learn how to brain dump, that's where you'll be able to truly tackle the mental habits that keep you stuck, you know. So one thing I want to just suggest to us today is, let us also keep an eye on negative body language. I hope you know that there are some people that you would instinctively want to run away from because their body language is negative. And anybody who is stuck, you know, in the rut of having, a negative body language, trust me, your mental state is not as it should be. Your mental state is not as it should be. I'm on do not disturb, and calls. I'm sorry, no, it's live. Calls still keep coming. I have a call, so I need to just actively turn off the. I don't know. They should do not disturb in a way that you don't even get, to get this thing. So sorry, I'm back. So like I said, when you have negative body language, you're like a Betty Downer, killjoy. Anywhere you enter, without even saying a word, people begin to feel sad. People begin to, withdraw from you. You need to be at that brain dump session tomorrow, because you need to brain dump to be able to get rid of these mental habits. So you need to, one of the mental habits that will keep you stuck, consistently self-deprecating thoughts. Self-deprecating thoughts. I remember there was a challenge people had some time ago where most women were all about the negatives people said about them. Sometimes most of these challenges, we'll get to that in the course of the 31 days, you know. Oh, I was this, I was this, I was that. When you say these things actively, even when you think you are past them, if you're not careful, you begin to believe it all over again. It's just like me. I like to talk about myself. You know, I battled addiction for a long time. Even after recovery, I was really, really careful. I always say it. I credit God for my being, having lived the life of sobriety for close to 14 years now. You understand? But for a long time, because I remember then in treatment, they will tell you, even when you are over addiction, you always have to refer to yourself as a recovering addict. You always have to refer to yourself as a recovering addict. So I didn't know for years. Here I was, chatting the course of sobriety, but every time that was basically how I always used to refer to myself. And I had somebody who just a couple of years ago, she's really, really, an important part of my life now. And she said to me, why are you always saying this thing? You're past that. If you need to talk about this thing, talk about it from the place of strength. So you'll be able to help people. And I ultimately see that now, that thing that was, you know, a mental habit for me, because I truly lived this life. And it's not just easy for you to just cast off anything that was essentially a part of you. But I had to move beyond that point. And I now had to start looking at myself like somebody who overcame, and not somebody who is still recovering years later. Because that's how the English will tell you the 12 steps. They will tell you once you're an addict, always an addict, even if you're off. They'll tell you you're on the wagon. Be careful you don't fall off the wagon. So today I'm telling a woman, begin to actively challenge every self-doubt. You know, don't accept it as the status quo. That's the fourth thing we're talking about today. And it's part of getting rid of mental habits that keep you stuck. You had a child out of wedlock. It doesn't define you. But you see every time, we single mothers, it's a mental habit that is keeping you stuck. You're a mother, you're a mother. Mental habits. You were once married before, you're not married before. I always tell people, it didn't work out for the two of you. It doesn't make you bad people. It's just two different people who cannot work. You must begin to redefine your reality by the way you think. And you see, by the time you begin to get rid of these mental things, those mental habits that are not serving you, that are just tags. If you're going to keep on speaking about this thing, speak about it from a place of strength. Like I talked about myself being an addict. Now what I do is I use that thing to be a mentor, to be a sponsor. Rather, we don't use a mentorship in addiction parlance. To be a sponsor. So yes, you are this, because I'm basically talking to women here. You overcame this. Instead of just saying, oh, men has come, men has come. How can you use your experience? How can you break out of that mental quagmire, mental, miry clay? You might want to, it might be difficult, but that's why in the course of these 31 days, by the time we do the brain dump tomorrow and other things we need to do, because I think on the 5th day we'll be doing 4Ds. There's this 4Ds of productivity, is a management principle, but you can actually use it as a decluttering tool for your mind. So like I said, I don't want to spend too much time. I'm just going to run to the next one, which is very important. Practice being decisive. Practice being decisive. So many women might say they know what they want, but truly, how well do you know what you want when you want it? If you begin to truly know what you want, what you would tolerate, what you would not allow into your space, it begins to get easier for you. Like when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about self-centeredness. No. Remember when I said on the first day, day one, why we need to declutter? To have more productive lives. Some women are so worn out that they will do children, do this, do that, and they forget the man they're married to. So many, look, I don't say things that I don't know. I was once there. I was so overstretched, overcommitted, and thinking I was doing right and forgetting to do the bare necessities. If you begin to practice being decisive, you'll be able to deal with the bare necessities. You will know on a scale of preference what is important. What is it you want? I know there's this joke they always say about women who, they love church, they love this, they love that. And they'll say to that woman, you will do for your pastor, do you do it for your husband? And sometimes because you are compelled to do that thing you're doing for whoever is the person of, in authority to you, because you seem compelled to do it, your mental state, your mental space is all clogged up. You begin to do it out of, if I don't do it now, and what will happen? If I do it, what will happen? And you end up being stressed. You get home, you snap at everybody. But once you step out of your house, you plaster this smile because you want people to have this idea. You want them to have this opinion of who you are. Because if you decide you want to stop overcommitting, you will see that you will begin to practice being decisive. People outside will talk so well about you, but the people within your space, your home, your primary place of assignment and engagement, you will say yes to everybody outside, but when you come in, not because you want to say no to your father or to your children or your husband or to whoever is in your personal space. No, you don't necessarily want to say no to them, but you are overstretched. You are tired. Your children should understand you are tired, but you will spend your time. Oh, I'm visiting orphans. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Then when you come back, your children say, I know I'm stretched. I'm tired. Your mind needs to be decluttered. You need to compartmentalize. Yes, you will still do your charity. Yes, you will still do this. You will still do that. But you need to understand that if you overstretch yourself and you have a mental block or ultimately a mental breakdown, my dear sister, life continues. When you practice being decisive, one of the first things you'll understand is that you are not indispensable. You are not indispensable. I hope somebody is getting something out of this. We'll soon be done for the day. Number 6, when you begin to practice being decisive, you'll begin to practice prioritizing. Yes, I already mentioned it just a few seconds ago. What is important to you? As a matter of fact, when we're doing um brain dumping tomorrow, one of the things I'm going to bring up, it's called it's actually also a management technique. It's called the solution numbering system. So I'm going to talk a bit about that tomorrow because there's so much that we need to talk about, but I will definitely do my best to talk about that one. I just remembered now, so I just had to just make a note. I'm not making a mental note, I'm actually typing it. So I know that we would do it. These things keep coming. I try to, as much as possible, schedule so I don't run ahead of myself or go too behind. So, like I said, practice prioritizing. You know, tomorrow we'll that numbering something is a principle. That's why I said most of the time when you listen to me, have your pen and paper, except you go to watch again and try to take listening notes. Most of these things are things I learned in how do I call it? I won't call it treatment, but when you have to uh, um go for therapy and you speak to people and all of that. So because it's not just having the spiritual part of your life in order, you also have to get yourself on track. So for some time now, that's basically what I've been doing. And with the woman called you, I just feel obligated, to share, to share, to share, to share. So even if it's one woman who is able to make a difference and understand a difference and begin to inspire change because she's grown personally, to me, that's the joy and satisfaction I get from doing this. So the next thing we're going to do now, like I said, when you're practicing prioritizing, you're going to have to define your clear goals, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and begin to do it in steps. Remember on Monday, was it Monday? 2 days ago, I think it was New Year's Day. Yeah, that was Saturday. I shared with us what a special person in my life, Apostle Ingogan, said to me years ago when she said, it's a lie, a fallacy when people tell you you can't learn how to use the left hand in old age, And she pointed me to John Locke, the philosopher, who she said there is nothing you cannot teach anybody at any age. What is most important is they have to learn it in steps. So for me, the past 3 years actually the last 2 years with the pandemic has been constantly relearning, unlearning to learn, unlearning to learn. That's what it's been. So this thing we're saying now is almost like unlearning to learn, not to make you, um, to kind of estrange you, so to speak, from wherever you find yourself or the community or the circle you find yourself, but just to allow you, blossom, for you to just bloom. Because I tell you, I've heard so many prophecies for the year 2022. Oh, the year of light is the year of this. All those things come in through knowledge by the word of God, and also in your interactions, in your allowing new things. I'm not talking about new age ideas, far from it. Allowing new knowledge that will just like all of a sudden just give you light bulb moments, and you're like, wow. So that's what I believe learning is all about. You take what you've heard from the word of God and you run with it. You run with it. If not, the Bible is not going to say, write the vision plainly upon the tablets. There's a word of God, there is a vision, and the vision is what would help you chart these dogged paths of living here on planet Earth. We're not living on planet Earth as spirits, we're living on planet Earth as flesh and blood. Our spirit is connected. Like I said, this is not a preaching session. I'll try as much as possible to avoid doing that, but because that's essentially who I am, so I can't help it. It will just be popping up now and then. You understand? So, like I said, if you practice prioritizing, you have clear goals. What are my long-term goals? What am I? Anyone that is not serving you at the moment, you just, in management, there's a KIV box. Put it, keep in view. But the thing about us is, my phone has fallen. Hey, Chineke. The screen has finally smashed. Let me not look at it. Let my heart not break. So we have our KIV box. Keep it in view. Whatever is not serving you now, keep it in view. Then I'm going to go to the next one, which is something I've practiced in the past. I'm hoping not to have to do it this year because I have so much, but I still limit my engagement. I've had people say to me recently, we don't see you as much as possible. Maybe you're posting one picture, or in fact, it's my social media has basically become almost like a photo album, because I tell you, to declutter your mind, especially in this season, you need to limit social media intake. I mean, it sounds shocking coming from somebody like me, right? Who is social media enthusiast and all of that. But for me, I think being a social media enthusiast actually served me a couple of years ago. But now basically it can give you negative vibes when it does this for somebody like me at this age. I mean, I'm turning 52 in the next couple of weeks by God's grace. I feel for millennials. I feel especially for Generation Z. The pressure. For me, I limit social media intake, not because of the pressure of maybe people are showing off their wealth and all of that. It's just simply the vile, vitriolic statements. People just come at each other's jugular and everything. And I don't want that in my mental space. So you see me most of the time, I just TikTok, I'm laughing now, I'm watching things. Oh, there's this guy, we call him TikTok uncle. We those are the kind of things for me basically. Once I'm scrolling through Facebook, especially, I see some hard topics. Trust me, it's not as if one does not have an opinion, but it's too much trouble. And why would I want to let that into my mental space? So I'd rather deal with that and let that kind of clutter stay out. Let that kind of clutter stay out. At best, I limit it to my engagement. I just go there to say something. In fact, there's sometimes when I'll post something and people keep arguing too much, I just say, okay, let's just compromise. I don't take it further. Because by the time you leave social media, after you fought, and quarreled and abused and cursed each other out, you still have to live on this path, and which is terra firma. Social media is virtual space, terra firma. And before you know it, transferred aggression. You're having pressure headaches. When the person that abused you on social media has gone to rest. So there's so many things. For the Generation Z, it's a inordinate this thing for wealth, for certain standards that are not realistic, and so many people are under pressure. It will interest you to know, and maybe after this, go take a look at it. I probably go to YouTube and type in social media influencers who have recently lost their lives. I tell you, one day I sat with my 13-year-old son and I said, "Shit, do you know this guy on TikTok? Do you know this guy on YouTube?" I said, "Do you know they are dead?" My son said it's a lie. I said, "Forget it. 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, most of the death of social media influencers is via suicide. Via suicide. And they will leave a note. I mean, these children, 17, 18, very wealthy, very wealthy. The kind of wealth. I mean, if they raise it, we even have some Nigerian social media users like that earning mega bucks on YouTube, on TikTok, paid partnerships, product placements, and most of them are taking their lives because of the pressure. So imagine what it does to people's mental space. People come online practically crying out for help, and before you know, this person has committed suicide. So my sister, gorgeous woman watching me, if you're beginning to feel tense or feel some kind of way after you spend some time on social media, you need to consider taking a social media fast. In fact, when it got, because I used to be actively, involved in all this social media politics and all that, it got so bad that I think starting from 2016, no, 2016, yeah, from January to April, I will go off Facebook totally. I'll just do Instagram where I'm posting my business, this, that. But Facebook, because at the peak of that time, Facebook was acidic and it was affecting me. I'm telling you, I'll be sleeping, I'll be thinking of how somebody cussed me out on Facebook because of Buhari, because of this. So please, I can't overemphasize that. Then number 8, which is very, very important. And you wonder, what's wrong with this woman? Schedule time to worry. Yes, worrying is a natural thing. But instead of you to allow worry, take all your time. Even if it's 1 hour in a day, say, okay, what is that issue? Let me think about it. When you finish, like I said, all these things, you can do them by practicing. Me, that my time, I'm just on the bed, I'm just imagining, what kind of thing is this? What is all this? If I want to talk to somebody about it, I just pick my phone, I just call the person that I know always just gives me clarity on some issues. So please, it's absolutely legit. Normalize scheduling your time to worry. Instead of letting that thing be on your head all day. Maybe take a walk. Some people is when they are walking, they are thinking of the issues and sorting them out. What are the things that are like you say you've let your head down? So schedule time to worry. Then the next thing I'll just put into that scheduling time to worry, I'll just tell you, like, figuratively, take a walk. Take a walk. And I say when I say take a walk, after you've scheduled time to worry, when I tell you take a walk out of the crime scene of your mind. And the way you can take a walk out of the crime scene of your mind is the next one I'm going to. Sleep. My sister. If I say my brother, my sister, this is the woman called you. Sleep. Have you seen? I don't know if somebody has. I have a witness where you will worry so much about something when you just go and sleep. So leave this in a bag. I know me, I like to quote scripture in that instance. I'll say, sufficient is the trouble of today, that I'll start worrying about tomorrow. So I just go and sleep. And I tell you, most of the time, you wake up, you seem to be more in tune. You begin to have clarity. But instead, when you stay wake up, you stay awake, you worry, worry, worry. You don't make headway. So you see, when you're sleeping, what you're actually doing, you're taking a walk away from the crime scene of your mind. I know sometimes you wake up in the morning, and the problem is still there. No problem. So you have to learn to sleep. So finally, I overshot by 10 minutes. I said I'll be keeping it short to 30 minutes. Finally, what I just want to encourage somebody today, especially, is to remind you, because I'll try as much as possible to be reminding us every day before we leave about what a cluttered mind is. When you say your mind is cluttered, like I said earlier, you're focusing too much on the negatives. You are ruminating, you are thinking, you're putting that mental diary of what Okonkwo did to you years ago and all of that. You're worrying about things that are outside of you that you have no control. You can go back to watch the episode of yesterday when we said, like, that's Elsa in Frozen. Let it go, let it go. So you just need to stop ruminating, get rid of the negative thoughts. Just get rid of the negative emotions, for crying out loud. Get rid of the negative emotions. You can't do anything. Here is the Bible that said, no matter what you do, I said I won't do a lot of biblical references, but you can't help me. I can't help it now. No matter what you do, you see, you can't change this thing. You can't. You can't. So you see all those things that clutter your mind. I pray that by the end of these 31 days, we'll be able to deal with it. Somebody was saying to me at that time, ma, you're looking younger. Oh." Yeah, it's because you see, I say, see this mind. No, nobody's going to live in it rent free. No situation is going to camp in this head. Oh. I am proof that worry cannot change anything. If with the kind of year I had last year, one issue after the other, in fact, I basically had a mental spa. I used to do mental spas. I had people I talked with. I had people that prayed with me. You know, one of them. I had people that prayed with me. I'll say, see this thing. In fact, they just, because people think everything might be honky dory for people, but life happens. Life happens. I experienced a myriad of things, myriad of emotions that one will wonder, oh, she's still standing. Yes, she's still standing by the grace of God, but also because she decided to pull herself off by her bootstraps. You understand? And decide that, you see, this is my mind. I'm going to declutter it. And like I said, we're not just going to declutter. After decluttering, we will deconstruct. Then when we deconstruct, you will see you begin to build back, constructing it again. And by deconstructing, you're just basically unlearning to relearn. All those things, you see, all those negative patterns, all those things in our minds that clog up our minds, that clutter our minds, most of the time they're as a result of things we have learned, things that we have brought into our consciousness. So we need to begin to let them go. I remember I gave us that biblical reference yesterday of when they drive bad thing from you, when you're exorcised or demons are cast out, a vacuum cannot remain. And that is what happens. You will deconstruct, you will cast out, you will unlearn, and you need to now construct. Put good things inside your mind. Because if you don't, those same negative patterns that held you bound, they will come back. Oh. They call that thing, there's this thing they always call it. They call it spirit of flashback. Flashback. It will come back. Oh. Those things will happen. But if you have reconstructed yourself, even when they come back, you would have the tools to deal with them. Like I always like to give addiction examples here. They will tell you will still face situation of risks, But the joy of it is they have equipped you via the 12 steps and other recovery tools to be able to withstand it. So trust me, though you declutter your mind, though you deconstruct, though you have clarity, it's no guarantee that you will not still have situations that will threaten your mental sanity, threaten your mental space, threaten to destroy everything you've learned. But you see, with the tools, you'll be able to deal with such situations of risks. So thank you very much for today. I remember I said tomorrow we'll be dealing with how to brain dumping as a means of decluttering the mind. So for everybody who joined me today, I'm so grateful to have you in my space. Like I said, I really don't like to tell people to share because I think if you want a dose of knowledge, you should at least take the pains to look out for it. So um I just, for anybody who's going to watch this later, I just hope you take something out of it and you're able to run with it and you're able to become a much, 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 much better person. Ijama, God bless you. Thank you for watching. It's so nice to have you. Queen Hadassah, God bless you. Mary Udochi Obumseli, please. I'll send you my number. Call me. Don't worry. I saw it, right? I'll send you my number. Call me. God bless you. So, beautiful ladies, gorgeous ladies. Ugonna, hi, darling. Happy New Year. How's my baby girl, my princess? She's a big madam now, right? So, thank you very much for watching. God bless you. And please, 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 if you have not yet joined the Woman Called You platform, if you would like me to join you, just put a thumb up sign and I'll just invite you because it's a um private group here on Facebook. Just put a thumbs up and I would oh, she's beautiful, thank God. I'll just put a thumbs up and I would invite you to the page. So if you may take time to just watch day 2, day 1, and ultimately you can always follow up with the subsequent days that will come up. I remember if you have any questions, feel free to just with me. It's okay. Ijam, I'll join. I'll add you. God bless you. So just feel free. You can also go to the woman called you page and see past teachings we've had on confronting the woman in the mirror. We've had quite a couple of teachings in the last couple of months, and by the special grace of God, like we always do every February, I'm turning 52 this year, so hopefully, if I can get 52 women into a space, but because of all these COVID protocols, I don't know how I'll do it. But as usual, I always have a couple of women. We just sit together. All we're interested in is inspiring change through personal growth. You know, it's not a faith based platform. You have a lot of that, and you have a lot of those that you belong to, but we just come together and we do the little we can to be the change we want to see and grow personally. And by God's special grace, we're doing it one woman at a time. So thank you very much for watching. God bless you. See you tomorrow. And when you're coming tomorrow, please, if you're going to be here, get your pen, get your paper. And I'm seeing, since we'll be talking about brain dumping, um, exploring the possibility of getting the worksheets. And if I do, they'll be in PDF format. So you can always, for a token, maybe like 200 naira, because it's not data to send it in, you know. So maybe for like a token of 200 or 300 naira, I can send you the worksheets so you can work on them by yourself at home. God bless you. Good night.